Good evening. It is October 24th, 2023. I'm Glenda Carlin. If you're looking for me on Facebook, it's under my whole name, Glenda Carlin Bussick. But since my husband passed, I kind of just go by my maiden name. First, I want to invite in Holy Spirit, Jesus, Buddha, enlightened beings. Be here now with us. Help us with insights, guide me what to do or say, and also just have fun here. Enjoy ourselves. Oh, laugh a little bit. Not be so serious. Breathe, relax, smile. That's kind of like my mantra anymore. Just relax. Oh, and even though it's an illusion, that's called the relative. Tonight I want to talk about relative enlightenment of heart and mind. Is when we're walking around here seeming to function in this physical world. I do different things. I go to my doctor, but I went to the eye doctor, and I, like y'all know, I had cataract removal and they inserted a lens. I went back to my eye doctor today because it's 1 week since the left eye, and I have 20/20 vision. It'll stabilize, they say, and it makes sense that in the physical realm, these two eyes, the mind is trying to balance between these two eyes, what they're seeing. So when in the illusion we have cataracts or impaired vision, the mind's always adjusting, etc. But now without cataracts, it's having to go back and adjust different. Look, here comes Nance. Welcome, Holy Son of God, Barbara. Holy Son of God, Lynn. Holy Son of God, Julia. Holy Son of God, Leon. Holy Son of God, Danelle. Holy Son of God, Leon. Holy Son of God, Debbie. Holy Son of God, Gabby. Holy Son of God, Glenda. I hope I said Holy Son of God, Nance. Now, you know part of my talk, but I always get out of sequence of how I write it here. When I was talking to Lynn. She and I were walking this morning. And what I like about doing that, sometimes I'll just start talking, and then my talk kind of weaves itself together. I'll come to some conclusion. Holy Spirit will help me with some conclusion. But in what I try to do is kind of summarize to you all what I'm going through and give you big pictures where you can get the big picture look and then think about your perspective about we're not really in any, but there's phases in the illusion that we go through in enlightenment. But anyway, first, Jesus wants you to accept, in A Course in Miracles, first get you to accept your Christ, that you're light, spirit, but you're Christ, a son of God, same as Jesus. We're all equal. We're all equal, or Buddha, whatever you want to call it. Once you stabilize that, then he wants you to think of yourself as God, and everything is God, because there's only God, spirit. Of course, he created the Son of God, and he's our Father. And in that essence, all of us are brothers and sisters because we have the same Father. There's not all these different religions and wars based on religion and ethnicity and all that stuff. We're all brothers and sisters in spirit, in love, and light. We're light beings. But anyway, and then what? So picture you're going believing, you're faking it while you make it. Your spirit, Christ, Buddha, then God. But then what he wants you to do is to let go of all that thought that there's separate Christs out here, like separate gods animating, and God is spirits animating each form. But for me to get where I am here, I've followed some of the things that my friend, that Lama Surya Das, helped me do. And the course, of course, Jesus says, call yourself by the name you are, God. But heck, I needed a combination of things. And this Lama Surya Das talks about we're gods and goddesses walking this earth. So yeah, I had to get to that. Okay. But then the absolute state is seeing this clear light, and that there's nothing out there. That's Jesus's big summary, is that there's nothing outside of you, and there's no self-concept. So let me get you the heading of tonight's teaching is, it's three things. It's about the six senses that we're addicted to. Instead of five senses, picture the mind as a sixth sense. We're addicted. We've been addicted to these senses. We do knee-jerk reactions to them, and so we're learning to just seeing, just hearing, which I'm gonna, without acting on these temptations. These are temptations. And both Buddhism, Dzogchen, and the Course talks about temptations, because that's the deal. We're always, that mind is, of course, welcome, Holy Son, God Gonzalo, welcome. There's the two voices, the voice for God, which is the only real voice, and egoic voice, and we're the awareness. Your awareness is going from ordinary to awakened, to recognize and remember what you are and what your brothers are and what God is. But anyway, we're always tempted by these. I see something, I want it. I smell something, oh, that smells good, I'd like to eat that. Or I hear something, oh, that's beautiful, let's get some more of that. Now, it doesn't mean we can't function in the world and enjoy the senses, but what's happening, you're becoming awakened. You're having an awakened mind and an opened heart, and you're not labeling and being carried away by those temptations. You can still eat that croissant, you can still eat ice cream, all that stuff, but yet you're not addicted. You can say no. Okay, anyway, first is this thing about temptations, the senses, and then letting go of a self-concept and the existence of the world. Those go hand in hand. And then I'm going to discuss relative and absolute enlightened heart and mind. It has two parts. And why this came about, this whole talk, is last week I kind of covered this. This is, the Course. Jesus is trying to get us to see the same thing, but with different words, about just seeing, just hearing, without, and recognizing those are false images, false idols, they're called, etc. But what made this so hit home to me was, I was listening to a YouTube video of Lama Surya Das, and it was his meditation town hall meditation thing on Sunday, October 1st. Because last week I thought I said it was in his Naropa talk, but it's not. It's October 1st, 2023 meditation town hall that he did. And in it, I'm going to quote this, but like we've talked about, I've learned this since studying with the Dzogchen Buddhist people, that they've kept track of things Buddha said. He had 500 disciples that kept track of things, and they didn't burn that stuff. And they got the thought, some of these people, they are clairvoyant. They can see the future. They saw that things were going to get burned and pillaged and all that. So they buried things. But scrolls and all these things. But here, this is from the Buddha that said, in seeing, there is just, welcome, Holy Son of God, jump. In seeing, they're just seeing. Nothing to look at, nothing to look for, and no one seeing it. In hearing, just hearing, nothing to listen to, and no one hearing. Okay, so I printed that out on a piece of paper. Here's paper. Word process printed out. I carry that baby around, sit it by my recliner. I carry it when I walk, and I read these sentences. They're very, very, very powerful. if I can save you years of work, if you want, I recommend you sit with these sentences and see what they mean to you all. But I sat with this, and this, I want to break this apart, and it's in my email. Here's the first part. In seeing, Buddha just says there is just seeing. They're just seeing. Well, yeah, right. So, okay. But the next part he said, phrase is nothing to look at. So I sat with that phrase. When I'd walk, I'd go nothing to look at. And I'd look out when I'm walking, that I'd look at a tree, that tree's not there. That street's not there. That trash bin over there is not there. Because that's what that means. Nothing to look at. Now, the crux of that phrase, what is that? Just 4 words, is a whole big truth, absolute truth, that there's no existence of a world and a universe. Nothing to look at. I mean, your images, there's nothing for me to see. No walls, no pictures behind Nance. That nothing to look at. So that settled in me. That, you settle with it. You contemplate it, you let it settle through you, and then it more and more I do it, it gets deeper and deeper because I realize it's true. And then I put together these other statements that, like Jesus, I went looking for them, but nothing to look at. And this is in workbook 132, where Jesus says, I quote, there is no world. Nothing to look at. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. Not everyone is ready to accept it, and each one must go as far as he can, let himself be led along the road to truth. He will return and go still further, or perhaps step back a while and then return again. But healing is the gift of those who are prepared to learn there is no world and can accept the lesson now. N-O-W, now. The vertical now. And this is practicing. This is integrating truths into your daily life. Now, that's a whole big paragraph. Now, we could just say there's no world, but this thing about no seeing, just seeing, really helped me. Nothing to look at. The next point says, nothing to look for. Nothing to look for. And I out walking, I'm thinking about contemplating that, thinking about that. Nothing to look for. That means any wants that I've got, any needs, desires, expectations, nothing to look for. Because that's when I look back on an unawakened mind, my mind, it was looking to the future, looking for things it wanted, was and trying to manifest that stuff. No. That's not what Jesus teaches. We're letting things be. Remember last week, he said, let it all go. We're not trying to manifest things, but he'll never deny you anything. You can, of course, you can ask. Of course, but he will not deny you anything. But the bigger picture is to let go of everything, let be, see your brother as holy, practice Jesus' advanced forgiveness, and saying, I love you to everything, and God to everything. And then everything will come to you that you need. It'll just come. Or if it doesn't come, you damn don't need it. Holy Spirit thinks. Because that was in last week's lesson too. He'll bring to you what you need and leave it there as long as he feels like you need it. But anyway, in that nothing look for it. Now look at the last part. It says, and no one seeing it. And no one seeing. That's just one sentence, folks. And we're covering, there's no world. There's no wants, needs, desires, or expectations in the last one, and no one seeing it. That's giving up of a self-concept that I'm a body. No one seeing it. That means these two eyes looking out there, seeing images, trees, whatever, the stuff. Now, of course, as we function in the world, We're alert to when a car is going to stop or not stop. We're not stupid here. I mean, I'm talking here the absolute. This is absolute talk, but yet we live in the middle way. We never put the body in harm's way. Call 911 when you need to, but no one's seeing it because the Course, that's what Jesus is wanting you to do in the Course. Give up this false idol that you think you're a body, separate from all these other bodies. Your spirit, your love light. And where did I find this? Workbook 152. To recognize God's Son, see that to recognize God's Son implies as well that all self-concepts have been laid aside and recognized as false. There you go. And now that's a short one for Jesus. All self-concepts have been laid aside and recognized as false for you to recognize God's Son. Now, right now, we're faking it while we make it, but ultimately, you will recognize your true divine identity and everybody else's. Now, so what we're talking about here is the sense of sight. And then here's where Jesus talks about the sense, temptation. This is in chapter 18, chapter 7, paragraph 7. Save time for me by only this one preparation and practice doing nothing else. And this is in quotes. This is what he wants you to practice. I need do nothing is a statement of allegiance, a truly undivided loyalty. Believe it for just one instant and you will accomplish more than is given to a century of contemplation or struggle against temptation. See, we're not going to struggle against these senses. We're not going to do that. But you're mindful and recognizing when your sight, my sight, goes off and attaches to something called attachment or pushing something away, then and labeling, oh, I want it or I don't want it. I like it or I don't like it. Because wanting and not wanting is the fundamental causes of suffering in the world. And the bottom line to that, if you back off of that, it's ignorance is causes wanting and not wanting because we think we're in a body. We think we got these temptations. Now, granted, in the world, there's still things, a house, a car, and things that may need to be had, food and all that stuff. It'll all be provided with because you'll be guided what to do or say. That doesn't mean we quit our job or if you got one, or don't invest properly, or don't spend wisely. I mean, this is that we're not, we're discerning, we're mindful, alert in the worldly things, but we're not trapped. We're not trapped and glued onto them. But you need do nothing, meaning physically go, really do nothing. He's just talking about we're just talking about this for right now. You may need to go do something like apply for a job or go straighten out Medicare benefits or something. I don't know. But I need do nothing is of the mind, thoughts in the mind. Ego's giving you a thought thing. You got to go do this. You got to do this. Believe it for just an instant. And if you recognize you need do nothing, you've withdrawn the body's value from your mind. Here is the quick and open door through which you slip past centuries of effort and escape from time. This is the way in which sin loses all attraction right now. That's what I'm talking about. Sin or these addictions of the senses lose their attraction to you. Yet you go seeing, you're out seeing, you're not walking out in front of a car. And here's the next sentence. In hearing, just hearing, nothing to listen to and no one hearing. So this is about hearing. So in hearing, there's just hearing, nothing to listen to. So I'm out walking and I hear a bird squawk. And my knee-jerk reaction is to go look at that bird and label what kind of bird it was that was doing that squawking. That's labeling it. That's going over, taking my attention to it. Now, granted, other times you can enjoy that stuff, but I'm practicing here. I'm a practitioner of this truth, of the Course in Dzogchen. So I'm practicing. Oh yeah, look, the mind just right over. Oh, that bird's pretty ugly. Didn't like that squawk. What the heck's going on? Blah, 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 blah. But nothing to listen to. So there's no bird. Well, so what's that mean? There's no bird. The car drives by me real fast speed. There's no car because I'm hearing the whoosh of the car. But I get off the road, of course. And no one hearing. See, that's back on the self-concept. There's no form. There's no body. Okay, now that at the end of my email, I put that paragraph in there that is really magnificent where Jesus talks about, had so many. Where's the one I think? There's nothing outside of you. Now, see, that's chapter 18, VI, section 6, paragraph 1. See, that's the same deal. There's nothing outside of you. That is what you must ultimately learn, for it's the realization that the kingdom of heaven is restored to you. So that means here on earth, the kingdom of heaven can be restored right now. They don't have to die to be, that's just a deal, a false deal. The kingdom of heaven is here right now. I'm just not recognizing it. I'm not aware of it. But yet, in a heartbeat, you can have an insight or revelation and feel and even see that clear light of God, see the kingdom of heaven. Anyway, is restored to you. For God created only this, and he did not depart from it, nor leave it separate from himself. The kingdom of heaven is the dwelling place of the Son of God, who left not his Father and dwells not apart from him. Heaven is not a place nor a condition. It's merely an awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there's nothing else, nothing outside this oneness. Now, see, that's talking about this false world, the existence of the world. In Dzogchen and Buddhism, the world doesn't exist. They teach it. They teach the same thing Jesus is teaching here, but in different words. And then Jesus goes on and says, and nothing else within. Within means the mind, all those thoughts and chattering that's going on, the hearing, the seeing, the tasting, the feeling. But we're gentle with ourselves. We're practicing. We're practicing this. So I looked back on, but realized I left out a couple of things that next. So see, then after all that happens, where you're aware, you're wanting to become aware of this, your addiction to these senses. And see, that really narrows it down to more than that I'm not a body, because that's elusive enough. But the senses, the mind, sight, thinking mind is a sense. It really is. The sight, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, those are become addictions, addictive behaviors. These thought patterns, we have ignorance, so we don't remember what we are, results in an I and another, two-ness. Then with that becomes habits. What I'm talking about here are habits where I just follow along with what my eyes see or I smell or I hear, automatically knee-jerk labeling versus taking a breath, leaning back, pausing, and maybe ask Holy Spirit what to do. At least pause, count to 3 or count to 10 before we do a knee-jerk reaction. Respond, we're responding, But anyway, I recognized that I'd left out of the list equanimity, that word equanimity. And I want to find my page where I list these things, where I list saying I love you and God to things. That was number 6, silently saying. I had no idea the magnitude of that, but that came about because I was in some workshop one time with the Lama Surya Das, and he asked the group, can you love the things you hate? And I think I've told you all, I think 3 or different workshops or meditations, he'd say that. Finally, I realized I was irritated and recognized that means there's something to look at here. because I thought I didn't hate anything. That's ego for you. I'm on the spiritual path. I got past that. But no, ego, knee jerk, judges everything. It's just automatic. And that's sorting good and bad, is judging good and bad, want or not want, like or dislike. But anyway, I wouldn't even label that as judgment. But why I bring it up here is, as you all become aware of these things, you're not producing karma, that boomerang. What we sow, we reap. What I think I get. Are they God or not? Are these people God, Christ, Buddha, spirit, or not? But anyway, by saying silently, I love you, to all the things you hate, besides the things you love, you think you love, friends, or maybe some relative, or do something funny, a child or whatever, just keep saying, I love you. I love you. A politician, I love you. And say that, what that is doing is huge. It's called equanimous love, equanimity, one taste. In Buddhism, it's called one taste. Sameness, the Course, Jesus calls it, treat everything as the same. Well, what the hell does that mean? Well, it's the same. Their spirit, their light, their love. That's your fundamental inheritance, is love. That light is filled with love. I call it love light, but it's called equanimous love. Oh my goodness. You cannot become enlightened or awakened without loving all your brothers. We've talked about that before. I found places in the courses, you can't have one dark companion, or you can't be in God's presence. Well, it's true, because that's a thought, it's a judgment. But granted, you come off that judgment and you breathe, take a breath, lean back, go to that vertical center between your two eyes, your third eye, and rest. Rest in that spaciousness, vast spaciousness, emptiness. It's called emptiness in Buddhism, because it's just not got any obscurations on it. No images are laying on it. It's purity. It's empty, but it's full of God light, full of God creative love light. You come back to that center, you rest for a second or two, then the mind's off doing its thing again, and you bring it back. That's why meditation is so important. When you sit on the meditation cushion, you're aware when your mind's wandered off, or you're called your attention, or your mind has wandered off to think of a grocery list, or what you're going to do later, or what some politician said, and then the war in the Middle East, blah, blah, blah. Then you bring your attention back to center, vertical center between your eyes. Take a deep breath in, and on the out breath say, ah, and that ah, it relaxes you. It lets go. You let go of thoughts and everything. When you do that, it's like dumping. You're dumping everything, thoughts, every feelings. You just relaxed. It's beautiful. It's the shortest mantra a Buddha ever had. It's called a sutra. Sutra. I mean, it's powerful. Plus, all is the call we can. This is a long time since I've talked about this, but in one of these workshops in meditation, this holy teacher would say, okay, take an in breath, and we're going to say ah. And you just say ah with all kinds of frequencies. Real forceful. And then take another breath in. And we did that 4 times. And on the 4th in breath, and I'm just like yelling, because nobody's hearing any of this. And the Holy One's saying that, just go for it. That all is calling to God. That's the primordial, beginningless beginning. I had no idea. And before, in a heartbeat, all of a sudden, I wasn't saying I heard in my mind this long was going off by itself. There was a reply. That's this Holy Spirit because I don't really think God knows anything about this stuff. And Jesus says it. But whatever that divine spirit was replying back, I was doing nothing. I was doing nothing. It was replying. There is an eternal power, a creative living force called many, many names, God, Allah, all these different names people fight over. But the thing is, that's also in my email, this absolute enlightened mind and heart, where the absolute is when enough of these thoughts are purified because you've practiced these truths. Enough obscurations are removed from your mind, you see this clear light once in a while. This clear light, vast spaciousness of God mind. That's you. That is you, each of us. Because Jesus says your mind in a mind, purely mine. It's true. It's fact. That's God mind, includes all these projections, all the universes are all projections the Son of God made, and they're projected out here into God mind. But what I want to talk about, though, is in the absolute, as close as we can get to what God is this clear light and opening up to the great ray or court of light and all the light, chakras open, etc. And your light's vibrating in and out, coming in and out, because that's what inflates, animates everything, this God light. Or it wouldn't be alive, it'd be dead. Be laying there dead. But the thing is, that's in this physical world because there's an awareness, a Christ mind awareness, seeing clear light mind. But that's high. That's the highest you go, called Rigpa in Dzogchen Buddhism. But that's still an awareness, two-ness in essence, but it's beyond two-ness because you're aware of oneness. Like Jesus said, that quote, you're aware of the perfect oneness and aware there's nothing else outside this oneness and nothing else within. Because you're looking out and seeing these images, but you know they're not false. There's nothing out there. They're false, even though you see them. You see the clear light. But the thing is, only like in samadhi, in meditation, where the mind connects and dissolves with spirit, and then there's a blacking out, and the only reason you know you dissolved and went into that state is you come back and you're aware, hold it, I was gone for a while. Well, picture in that state, you're not aware of anything. So that's why we cannot define God. And that's why people just say, and I didn't get this, I only got this recently, that just God is. I just know he is. I know he is. I know God is, but that's all I can say about it. But there's peace, love, bliss in this nirvana or heaven. These are characteristics in this kingdom of heaven as you awaken from the dream. But the absolute, the two things, and so that absolute and relative, so that equanimous love, you can't get to there without loving everything. Faking it while you make it, but you will ultimately feel a love for everything. So then this, the big picture is what I'm talking about is there's two parts to this enlightenment process, and I never knew it. And I've been trying to put my finger on it for weeks here, maybe a couple of months. And I picked up a book called This Natural Great Perfection that this holy man, that Lama Surya Das translated with a group of other people, this holy man's teachings, Tibetan teachings. And in it is that song that I read last week, but also in it, he talks about relative and absolute, but they use the word bodhicitta. I was talking to Lynn about that. And just bodhicitta means enlightened heart and mind. Just a word. So I'm going to leave the word bodhicitta aside, and I'm talking to you about enlightened heart and mind. Your heart's got to open and your mind's got to awaken. But they join, and that's why in my emails, you'll see I'll put heart-mind. That's their join. They're etheric, though they're joined in a chakra that's outside the other chakras, blah, blah, whatever. You don't have to believe that. Doesn't matter. They join. It's all it is. Because picture, the mind is a thinking mind. How the hell is it ever going to have loving thoughts? How's it going to have loving thoughts? That's the join. The heart joins with the mind. And it joins because you're going to fake it while you make it, that you love all these things and you're doing all these lessons in the course and other things. But but there's two parts to this. The relative side is you're cultivating enlightened qualities for the benefit of relieving the suffering of all people. Cultivating enlightened qualities for the benefit of relieving the suffering of all. Now, that's the part I was totally missing until I met that Lama Surya Da, or not, I've never met him. I mean, when he was brought to me, his teachings, books, meditations, and then I started meditating with that Dzogchen group, different group out of LA. But the thing is, I was missing that whole thing of the enlightened qualities, which are like compassion, empathy, love of all my brothers. I'm not kidding. I'm laughing because what the hell, you know? But see, I got out of sequence. I did that meditation for 4 years that I learned out of Gary Renard's CD called Fearless Love. And I was practicing saying all of it to all my brothers for advanced forgiveness. And that arc of light opened and the great ray started to download. And I thought I was kind of home free, but no, even the light, I have so many, and most people do, so many judgments in the unconscious mind. This is a process to get all that brought to the surface. You look at it, let it go. I need do nothing. I just let it go and love those images and situations. But so there was a lot still to do. I write that in that email about how even these, because this is important too, because see, the light work that you all are doing is in this gradual path. So generally, now you can jump and skip years of work. Don't get me wrong, and you can jump to the conclusion at any moment. Don't know. Is that when that great ray started to download, and for years afterwards, every time I laid down flat, my legs would go up and down on the bed, and my arms would go up and down. Sometimes my whole body would go up and down. And later I thought about, well, if somebody saw that, they'd think there was an exorcism or something. Well, in essence, that's what it was. The light, the great ray, I'd got that thing, that great ray was downloading. This is out of the normal process. So it was coming in, my unconscious mind, my regular thoughts, the light's hitting the darkness, and wham, it is purifying it. And as the light came in, all these images would come to me year after year, for years. So images would come to me, and I know, and my life would pass before in my mind. All my work, my childhood, my jobs, my relationships, everything, my marriage, all these things, all images of people. The purpose was to practice Jesus's advanced forgiveness, because I was never judging them as spirit. I didn't know to think that way. So I had to let all that go. See, that's what you are each doing about the loved ones that are around you, your relatives. Anything that shows up in front of your face is your karma. I mean, practice Jesus. If I didn't know what I was doing, but now I do know. I look back on it. You can save yourself years of work. The purpose is to practice thinking of them as God. I love you, all of it. You are spirit, whole pureness, and all is forgiven and released. And thinking of yourself as God, Christ, Buddha, faking it while you're making it. But now why I bring that up is that was the light part of the work. The light is where it's purifying thoughts to get you to this pure mind that you can see this clear light. That's the absolute part of all this. Recognizing the immanent, EMNANENT, and that means self-present, that's here now, existing self-nature of things, and seeing this great emptiness, this vast spaciousness, endowed with luminosity and compassion. That's what this light side's doing. But the other side is this cultivating of enlightened qualities for the benefit of relieving the suffering of all. Let me tell you, before Dzogchen, introduced to Dzogchen and this holy teacher, I was not thinking, I was practicing advanced forgiveness, but I had no idea why I was doing it. Was empathy, put myself in other people's shoes, compassionate, and thinking, oh, they're just not ignorant. They're not aware of what they're thinking, saying, or doing, because I've done that. Sometimes I still do that. But that's why you're doing the lessons in the course, because the first half of the course is to introduce you to how the ego works, the nature of things, how the nature of mind. It's really huge. And the second part is talking about God and your love for God and your brothers. But anyway, so these two parts have to be balanced to get a fully enlightened heart and mind practice. So and I never knew it. And also you can think about that wisdom. Okay, so then as you awaken here and you're practicing these truths, you get wisdom. So that's the mind part. The mind are these wise, these wisdom. You're more discerning. You're wise. Oh, that was ignorance. I went through that. That's just a habit. They're doing just a habit. Look, they're addicted. That's an addiction. I got an addiction. I know how that feels. But then you look out, you can see how the nature of mind, how it works and how ego's working. And then you can lean back and come off those thoughts, those labeling, those judgments easier. But while you're doing it, you're developing compassion. There's two wings to this bird, that you're a bird. You symbolize like you're a bird. One wing is compassion, one wing is wisdom. And the body represents the Christ, Buddha, God, but you're soaring because you've got a balance here. And that's these two relative and absolute, called bodhicitta, or enlightened heart mind. Now let me see. I wrote down some things that I did that could be of benefit to you that I might not have brought up lately. So let's see what those are. There's another thing that I learned to do. It's called treched, T-R-E-C-H-O-D. It's cutting through a form to see the vast clear light that's here. And it's not brutal or anything. The image isn't really there anyway, but just cut through it at a diagonal and see it separate. And what's left? Clear light, space, spirit, God. See, it's called treched. And I would do that practice. Maybe that'll help you. Then meditation. Oh man, sky gazing and space mingling meditation. And the course, remember I never knew the course talked about meditation. That's embarrassing to say, but it does. Lesson 31, Jesus tells us, I want you to do there's two aspects to all this. One is the integrating of these ideas into your life daily, and the other is meditating or on a sustained basis, an idea or something. And let me go back to that first one, integrating this into your life. We can maybe go to church on a Sunday, or maybe you come here on a Tuesday night, which is great. It's great. But there's more to it than this. During the day, if you're doing the lessons, Jesus is telling you how often he wants you to say them and what he wants you to do. He's giving you instructions how to integrate that into your daily life. But if you're then there's other lessons like, see, remember I wrote this down. I carried this around and I was integrating this into my daily life. Because this is not going to just happen. Like last week, Gonzalo made the point, this takes some work. Now, granted, I read that paragraph that says you need to do nothing, but no, this is mind training. Then on the other hand, Jesus goes and says, this is a course in mind training. I want you to do all these lessons. Oh, what you think about all these thoughts during the day. So take all this with a grain of salt. Some course students, they'll read a sentence in the course and man, they stick to that like glue and they won't accept any other thoughts. But Jesus is throwing so many variables, so many relative truths and so many absolute truths at you at the same time. But boy, it's not really work, because if you want to wake the hell up and be free from suffering, ignorance, and feel the light and love, have that light come in and go out. Oh my goodness, it's just amazing to feel the light that you are. But to integrate in the daily life means you gotta have some sticky notes around. You gotta make some piece of paper you carry with you. And what am I reading? Am I reading just regular books, or am I reading truth books? What am I doing in my daily life? That's this integration. And and like Gonzalo said, and I realize it happens. Then what happens as more and more you think these truth thoughts, and your brother's about him being spirit, is more and more and more and more you're thinking holy thoughts. And somewhere in the course, Jesus says, be vigilant only for God. And I go like, yeah, right. How the hell do you do that? Well, that means we're looking past the form. We're remembering to look past the form and fake it while we make it. There's spirit there. There's God mind right here, right now. So you're just reasoning with yourself, talking to yourself, practicing these lessons, and they become your. And so then I realize it's my life. Now I still watch TV, but and go, do things in the world. But as soon as I can, I'm thinking, oh, is there anything to listen to really? Is there anybody out there? I'm just always clarifying with myself, bringing myself back home to the absolute while I'm watching these TV shows and all this stuff, and recognizing my feelings and mood. But that's lesson 31. If you don't believe me, go to lesson 31, which is a good thing. Check it out, that Jesus wants you to do this, integrate it into your daily life. Let's see now. That was one of my big things here. Oh, and another thing is there's sound healings. Can be holy music or prayers and chants. And when I look back on this awakening, because of this Dzogchen Buddhism and me meditating daily with this group out of LA, they do chants and prayers. There's a sound, the sound. And these people in the beginning, these leaders would go to, if you can't say the words, it doesn't matter. You don't even say the words. Let the sound wash through you. And I would do that. I would let the sound wash through me. I just kind of lean back, relax, breathe, smile, relax, let that sound wash through me. What's happening, these chants are thousands of years old. They carry a resonance that matches with the resonance of your chakras, of all these light centers that are wanting to open, and just and it touches your heart. And then when I would do the chants and prayers, heck, I didn't know what any of those words were. I didn't know what, and then below it would be the English translation. And they chant, sing this Tibetan thing, and then they read the English version. And I would ask Holy Spirit, help me. What does that mean? What do those words mean? Same thing I would do with the course. I was doing the course in the same, but meditating with a group, there's a powerful, powerful synergy that develops when you meditate with a group of like-minded people. Oh my, It's just beautiful. And Holy Spirit's there. The enlightened beings are there. They're, oh my, it's beautiful. But the thing is, as I had an intention to learn to say the chants, because then as I learned the chants, ooh, it was beautiful to be able to say the chants, you know, just this rhythm to it, because this light comes in and it goes out. There's a rhythm to everything, a flow. But then the English translation, like I go, oh, what does that mean? And when I was out walking with Lynn, I was brought up about this equanimous, this equanimity. And in one of these prayers or chants, we have a prayer book. Here's one called it's the 4 immeasurable aspirations. And see, these are our aspirations. May all beings possess happiness and the inner causes of happiness. Now, that's the first line. Now, what brought me back to the Course was I was not happy. I don't know what brought you guys to the Course. So, you know, but this prayer is saying, and see, this prayer, this is my intention. I feel that way for all sentient beings. That means all these beings, bugs, everything, all sentient beings, seen and unseen, human and otherwise. May all beings possess happiness and the inner causes of happiness. See, inner causes, these are all these thoughts. Which thoughts am I going to have? And may they possess the inner causes of happiness, meaning they're thinking these truth thoughts, right? May all beings be free from suffering and the inner causes of suffering. So what are the inner causes of suffering? Well, attachment and aversion, these addictions, thinking I'm a body. But in essence, it's all these senses and addictions, thought, knee-jerk thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Causes of suffering. My own thoughts are causing my suffering. Now, karma, who knows? Well, like Jesus said, this could save you thousands of years. And then that made me, finally it dawned on me, well, hey, that means we've been around longer than this lifetime. This is saving thousands of years. So that karma we're looking at here today, it's not just this lifetime. Holy Spirit's bringing anything that's happening in this lifetime is representative of other lifetimes, because you can bet we've dealt with politicians, family issues, whatever, you know, lifetime after. That's the way it is, right? Children, parents, grandparents, whatever, neighbors, whatever. May all beings remain undivided from the sacred joy, which is free from suffering. Wants people to have joy. And here it is, may all beings come to rest in great peace and equanimity, beyond attachment and aversion to friends, enemies, or strangers. Those 4 lines are huge, because you're wishing well for everybody. See, that's that first part of enlightened heart mind. Wishing others well, these enlightened, feeling empathy, compassion for mankind. And may all beings come to rest. See, rest in meditation, your mind, my attention wanders, I come back to rest in this center. And it's called also the gap between thoughts gets wider and wider and wider, and you can rest your weary heart and mind. Ooh, it's just beautiful, the rest. And then you open your eyes, and when you're off that meditation cushion, you're more aware when your mind's off wandering. Jesus says you're much too tolerant of mind wandering. So anyway, but come to peace. You're wishing for everybody to come to rest in great peace and equanimity. The equanimity means love, equanimous love for everything, beyond attachment and aversion. There it is. Attachment and aversion to friends, enemies, or strangers. That means everybody, right? I had to sit with that for the longest time. What? Who's a stranger? Well, anybody at the grocery store, everybody driving out on the street, thinking of the Middle East, all those strangers. But we're wishing peace, shanti, shanti, peace, peace, beyond attachment and aversion. See, they're attached to thoughts and behaviors. Remember, the ignorance causes I and other, then habits cause habitual thinking, those cause mental afflictions. And people think, oh, it's somebody else that's insane. We're all insane. Jesus says that in the Course. But sometimes you're a little saner than other times because, see, you're waking up. But then, let's see. I was going to say, but, oh, so the Middle East, or Ukraine, Russia, we're down to ethnic groups, liking, disliking, culture, judgments, all kinds of thoughts, right? Wow. Oh my. So we can sit in meditation. You don't have to be with a group. You sit in meditation in your mind, just visualize, look at a map, a globe, visualize, that Middle East area, those countries, and wish, all those countries, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Israel, West Bank, Gaza Strip, peace, peace, shanti, shanti, peace. When you wish others well, you're wishing yourself well. And you recognize, wow, because that's a way we can give benefit. We can help. All those are strangers. And then people based on these wars, they then take these ethnicities into our own country and are mean to each other here just because somebody's a certain ethnic group. But we're letting this stuff come and go. See, you're aware of it, you let it come and go, and you just be. And you're aware when we're having judgments about even, this whole shebang. But don't take it personal. It's just how ego operates. It's just always doing this. It's our job to be master the mind and unchain ourselves from being prisoner to the mind. And that Jesus says that we're prisoner to this mind. We've been chained to it, like that Plato story where those people are chained and they're facing a wall where there's just shadows, but the other side of the cave, there's an open door. They could leave anytime. There's sunlight out there, and people are passing, coming, going outside. They're causing the shadows, but they're afraid to unchain themselves, to go, let go, let be. See, we're doing little bits as you can in this practice. It's a practice. See, this is also called practice. And I didn't realize it because when I wasn't integrating these truths into my daily life, I really wasn't practicing. So just picture you're a practitioner. You're practicing. So you can, and that's what Jesus says, it's in the application of the truths that the experience will come. But we're practitioners. Now, before I stop, it's 8:03. Anyone got a thought or comment before I stop the recording here? Thank you for coming out tonight. And but there's a comment, some people may need to go. Let's take a moment, each person on the screen, and practices Jesus's advanced forgiveness on each person on the screen. Cool. Okay, see, that's simple. Okay, thank you, thank you. Holy Son of God. Oh, no, it's God, Barb, God, Lynn, God, Nance, God, Joan, God, Gonzalo, God, Danelle, God, Leon, God, Gabby, God, Julia, God, Debbie, God, Glinda. Thank you for coming out tonight. I so appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Okay, any thoughts or comments before I stop the recording? I see. Now, Lynn, Gonzalo, just a second. Lynn sometimes needs to go. Lynn, do you have a comment, or you're just saying bye? Bye, Lynn. Thanks, honey. Thank you. Okay, Gonzalo. Thought she was going to say something. Thank you, Gonzalo.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was a good reminder about about war and praying for peace. That's been an issue for me in these recent days. I've been pissed off about this.
Now,
Israelis
can't
with
quite, you're kind of breaking up. You're kind of breaking up, Leon. I mean, Gonzalo.
okay.
You're better now, maybe.
Right now, okay, I guess
Yes.
stuff right. Okay. All right. Like I said, I've been angry about this whole war Israel Palestine thing. And I don't even follow the news, but you hear noise, you know, and your awareness, you hear noise. So I needed that reminder to step back and look at the entire world, not just countries in war otherwise, but look at the entire world as part of divine creation. And then from that place, whatever we choose, effective, it'll be more productive. So thank you for that. Yeah, we just, you know, we don't want to let any sort of grievance at all go unchecked. We don't want to
Yes.
use anything.
Yes.
Oh, you know, this is human. Yeah, yeah, we don't deny our human. We also don't want to excuse it for tearing ourselves down and tearing anybody or anything or any country down. I think so many of us have done that, even on a spiritual path. We still give so much power to our grievances. I shared with you when I used to be group in person that people would come in sometimes and they really, really were hell bent on keeping their grievances. And and my thing was not, let's bring it up. Don't hide it, but let's also use it for practice. Don't exclude our special grievances for practice. And that's really important. So yeah, I needed to hear that because I've been working with that whole Israel thing and a lot of anger has come up for me with that. So, and also, go
See
ahead.
that we see that it's happening, but we don't go off and react, and we might be guided to say or do something or help in some way, but yet we practice seeing them as spirit. Same thing we do with the ones around us, but do it on this worldwide level, like you're saying. We're still functioning here like those two, relative and absolute. It's functioning. I didn't really read this. Oh, I'm glad this came up, Gonzalo. I want to read this. That these both levels, that relative and absolute, the relative is how things appear to be. That's called the relative or functional levels. You know, it appears to be this way. And then how things actually are is this absolute. So we just merge them. But yeah, go,
Yeah, and so we never deny whatever we're experiencing. It's not helpful to, I think, what I felt over the years with a lot of core students in particular, that there's been a lot of denial, you know, and I myself have been part of that kind of denying and brushing off the things of the world. And I tend to think that's lazy. You know, when our human emotion comes up, I think it's lazy just to say flippantly without truly really believing that this is an illusion. Don't worry about it, doesn't mean shit. I think that's lazy.
yes,
I think
yes,
really when things come up and anytime we're truly in our practice, we're going to have at a bare minimum, we're going to have a feeling for our brothers and sisters in humanity. We're just going to have a feeling for them, right? Regardless of what the feeling might be. And because we're practicing and we're starting to feel the oneness, it's no longer just a concept. It's an experience once we still go deeper into the mind training. So we don't ever want to be slack and lazy with our practice and brush stuff off like, it's an
yes,
illusion. Yes, ultimately that, like you said, that's the absolute truth. But on the way there, we have to walk through our humanity and we don't want to ever deny that. So when anything comes up, even the slightest bit of reaction,
yes,
we want to embrace it as an opportunity, like you said, to turn it over and shine
yes,
on. I think a lot of that is what really pissed me off with the course community, where I kind of got over going to group because there was so much of that flipping. I felt it's lazy. And I just encourage everybody, don't deny any emotion or reactivity that comes up. Embrace it all and take it back to Holy Spirit Jesus for for clarification, because that's the only way we truly go deeper. We don't just slap a course quote on it and then it goes away.
Yeah, because that feeling came from a thought or a labeling or a judgment I had. That feeling. So yeah, I got to go get back to the thought. What was I thinking about that person? Right. It's all grist for the mill. You're right, Gonzalo. That's lazy. Just as brush it off. Well, that's not a purification of karma or cause and effect. Jesus causes a cause and effect. Yeah. Thought,
Thank
feeling.
you. Yeah, thank you for that. And just one more thing I'll share. The next retreat, if anybody's interested in the Tampa Bay, Florida, U.S. region, we're going to do outside, actually. We're going to do it in Tampa in a park, one of my favorite parks on the water. It's going to be outdoors. And I felt for a long time that our course interactions need to get beyond the church walls. Because most of the course events are, and course meetings are in a church of some sort. And that's great. But I think kind of like the Zoom is moving us out of the church setting. It's just out there. And I feel really strongly that our interaction or our overt offering of the course needs to be beyond the church walls or beyond any walls. And I think a public park out where anybody can show up, it doesn't cost anything to go. I think that's a perfect symbol of just how open and how extended we want to be with our course activity. So that I feel is where it's going from now. So anyway, that's March 30th. I'll put it in the chat if anybody wants information. It's months away, but I'm just throwing that out there just as an idea about being in the spirit of what Jesus wants us to share with our course practice.
Perfect. Thanks for what you do, Gonzalo, for your community. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing too. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else want to share before I stop the recording? Okay, so thank you everyone for coming out tonight. And if you want to receive, I have a document I composed from the course, a couple of Gary Renard books about advanced forgiveness, where we practice seeing past the form to the spirit, the clear light that's there. I think I've combined it into like a 6-page document. You can private message me on Facebook and give me your email address and I'll email it to you. Or if you want to be on my email list to receive, I do an email prior to each talk. If you want to be on my email list as well, let me know about that. But thank you for coming out tonight. I'm going to stop the recording here. Got to find that Zoom moved it more. Stop recording.